My name is Silas, and my friends and colleagues know two very important things about me. I'm a conductor, and I love coffee, especially espresso. No matter where I travel in the world, the first thing I try to do is find the best coffee shop and learn about the local coffee drinking habits. If I can, I try to meet up with old friends or make new ones in a coffee shop, of course, so we can talk about life, art, music, or whatever's on our minds. I found that there's no better way to get to know a conductor a little better than by having coffee with the maestro. Today I'm having coffee with Janna Hymes. I was her assistant conductor for a couple years when she was the music director of the Williamsburg Symphony Orchestra in Virginia. Nowadays, she's the music director of the Carmel Symphony Orchestra in Indiana. Janna is one of the most energetic, funnest people to talk to on the planet, and so I can't wait to get my coffee and give her a call. Good morning, Janna. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great as well. So you got your coffee with you. I'm drinking my espresso like always.
How many of those do you drink a day?
Right now, I'm just drinking one a day, although I had two yesterday. So,
Yeah.
But I'm trying to. I love it, but I'm trying to minimize it and keep it down because I could do like five if I didn't check myself.
It's a good thing you don't live in Italy.
Yeah, right.
When I lived in Italy, it was every time you had a break, you would go and have a coffee, and they were always, and it was all throughout the day. So you were drinking them even into the early night, but I still slept, which was amazing. I can't drink too much of this coffee. I mean, I do. I have to stop at a certain point of the day. So.
Yeah, in the summertime, when I go to, well, this summer, I'm not going anywhere, but normally in the summer, I go to Europe for a few weeks and to organize that workshop in the Czech Republic. And there's a cafe in the lobby of the Dum Kulturi, what is that? The concert hall where the orchestra rehearses. And so I have a coffee first thing in the morning, and then there's the 10 o'clock break, and then there's the lunchtime break, and then the afternoon, there's a 2 o'clock break. And every break, we're in the whole orchestra pounds down to the cafe, and everybody's having espressos. So yeah, it's kind of normal. And then the weirdest thing, I just said this the other day to someone, was that after dinner, it's like 10 p.m. and they're like, would you like a coffee? And yeah, Italians will just drink a coffee at 10
I
p.m.
know, and you can't get a decaf. It doesn't exist. They don't do that.
Yeah, I think maybe in I don't know, in places that are sort of Americanized, you can. But yeah, you say like, do you have decaf? They're just like, what are you talking about? So I didn't know that you'd ever lived in Italy. When was that?
Yeah, so I had a Fulbright, and I lived in Italy in 1989, and I studied opera. I lived in Palermo in Sicily.
Oh my
and
God!
It was such a great year. In fact, I just got asked 2 days on Friday to be one of the leaders of the next group of people trying to be Fulbright. So like reading through applications and meeting with the committee who picks. I'm really honored. It's through the State Department. It's a really big deal to get a Fulbright. And I'm so honored that they chose me to help screen the next group coming in. I think it's 2022, and it's a 3-year commitment. So I'm really excited about it.
Wow. Well, I'd love to have bragging rights to get a Fulbright. I one time looked into the application process, and it was so daunting that I just forget it. I'll be fine with that one. But the fact that a person can even go through that process is amazing, and then to get one is a big deal.
Yeah, but I mean, we say that, and then we're conductors, and look how many times we have to do applications, and sometimes 300-400 people apply, and sometimes I think it's a crapshoot, but then other times I think it's really perseverance and just really believing in what it is that you're passionate about. And that's what I tell young musicians. It's not about posturing, and it's goal oriented for sure, but it's about just being yourself and trying to get on paper or in your interview your true love of what it is that you do. And what we do is so immense. I mean, it's not just conducting. We're programming. We're in a lot of meetings. Right now my whole job has changed. I'm sure
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
I haven't conducted since March, but I'm busier than ever working. So it's like, well, how can that be? And I do a lot of interviews because people are like, well, what do you mean? The meetings, Zoom, first of all, has overtaken everyone's life, right? So you might be on 5 hours a day, but it's
right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're working. I mean, this is work, even though I love talking to you, but it's just amazing. My goal right now is to get our musicians out as much as possible. So we're planning, it's called Symphony on the Go. And we have these small groups of musicians playing all over town. Well, I have to help organize that. I can't just say, do it, see you guys in September. So and we're doing an online music, a virtual camp. And so, who's going to do the camp? What are the topics? And we're doing them for different age. So it's all that stuff. And it's just overwhelming. And we jumped in doing videos right away in March when this whole thing hit. But now that we're in it, I don't know how you feel, but I'm kind of comfortable with what it is. And I'm kind of seeing the light because I know it's not going to go on forever. Are you kind of feeling like that?
Yeah, a little bit. Now you're talking, this is all with Carmel, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I lost a lot of work. I mean, I lost a couple of, oh gosh, I don't even want to think about so I was a lot of guest conducting, and I was going to Money Music Festival and some concerts, well, a lot with Carmel, 2 Masterworks, but some of it was gig work. So that's like a chunk of money. You can't even go there. You just can't, there's so many people that are in such worse positions.
Right.
For musicians, they're gigging musicians. If they don't work, they don't have money. And I know they got some PPP money. Some of them are getting unemployment, all that.
Not
but
enough.
They need to play. It's not enough. And they need to play to be who they are.
Right.
We need to conduct, but they play all the time. They play all the time. They've got their trombones glued to their faces. So when they don't have that, it's like it loses. And I feel it too. But I'm not really concentrating on me. I'm really concentrating on keeping the orchestra very vibrant and very relevant and in people's minds. So when the doors open and people flood back in, we're on their minds. It's not like, what, I didn't live with them for a year and a half. So let's go to the theater company or let's do the ballet, because the symphony, I want to be in their faces all the time, but in a really cool way. So that's what we're working on.
Yeah, I agree with you. I also see the light. None of us know how far away the light is, but I can see the light too. And I don't think that's what you just described is going to happen. I think when the economy reopens and we're allowed to be together and do concerts, I think that the audience is going to come flooding back, rushing back. And people who are missing work right now, musicians and non-musicians, they need to work again so they can afford to buy tickets to see the things that we're going to do for them. But I don't feel like, oh, this is the death of, I've never felt like that, even though ever since I've been paying attention as an adult for 30 years or whatever, everyone's been saying, oh, this is the end of classical music. But 2020 is a really, really bad year. This might have ended classical music, but it won't, because people need art and music in their lives, and they'll come back.
When people said that before COVID, that classical music is dead, all that, it's such a stupid statement because it's never going to happen.
Right.
It's just not. And even if it's 0.1000% of the population, there are people that will always be committed to this art form because it is just so extraordinary. Right. And it's not for the highbrow, and it's not because, I bring people in, sure, I'll come, and they're mesmerized. They feel the symmetry, they feel the beauty. If they're listening to a Mozart symphony, for example, they start to just get into the rhythm of it, and why it is so wonderful. There's so many reasons, but they start to get addicted to the incredible balance and calm and symmetry and excitement and flow. And without even knowing that, they're hooked. And I love that. And so, but it's so important. It's such an important part of life, really. And I have said in many interviews and Zoom interviews I've had, imagine a world without music, whatever you listen to, whether it's rock or country or rap, whatever, your life would be so different. So music, classical music's not going to die.
No.
What I'm trying to do is to keep the orchestra relevant in these, because first we had COVID, then we had Black Lives Matter, it's like, okay, now what else is going to happen? So we're just trying to keep ourselves kind of visually important so that people, so that we make them feel better now. So that they also checks now, so that they donate now, so that because we're doing a big, hey, we could use it now, even though we're not playing, and checks are coming in. So it's all trying to fit in with the community as it is right now. And I'm sort of spearheading some of that because I really believe in that. And that goes to our musicians, because we're doing some backyard concerts. Those are more serious, like concerts in backyards. The ones where they're playing all over town are like at restaurants and bars, and people might be having a couple drinks talking, but we have a jazz trombone player, that kind of stuff. But we're doing like the Beethoven septet, and we're going to have like cocktails. It's going to be really great. Social
great.
Yeah, so stuff like that. And then our first concert is strings. with a limited audience where we play, and that's in October. November's Chamber Orchestra, which of course I'm very familiar with that repertoire from Williamsburg. And
Right.
then December will be kind of a bigger pops, and then hopefully in January and February, but we don't know. And I've never ever really felt like this was over, but because I've done a lot of reading about the past pandemics, and they last about a year and a half. So, but I feel now like even if 2021 is kind of a weird year, 21, 22 is going to be so busted. It's going to be so awesome.
Yeah.
And we're planning a gala, and we're planning, like this year was going to be huge for us because it's our 45th, but I'm sort of taking that, plumping it into next year and doing smaller stuff this year. We'll all be fine.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't want people to get sick. I want people to wear their masks. I just want to get through this horrible time. And now I'm getting bored with it.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Everyone wants it to be over with. And it's funny because all these coffee conversations, COVID has come up in pretty much every conversation.
Yeah.
So it's just what's on our minds right now, especially conductors, because we can't do our thing.
Yeah.
But but I don't want to be political about it, but I will say that the human lives matter more than anything. And so, we are all, like musicians and artists and a lot of other industries too, are sacrificing the thing they dedicated their whole life to in order that fewer people will die. And that's the point. And so once we accomplish that goal, and next year, whatever the death toll is, will be smaller than it would have been if we hadn't shut down. And then we'll carry on with our art, and our art will continue. And it'll be what it is.
I'm with you.
I just hope that the organizations and the people that, I know dozens, 100, maybe more than 100 musicians who are suffering right now financially really badly. And I know that a lot of other people are suffering too. And if they can all make it till then, which is a tall order, but if we can all just make it till this thing is over, it's going to come back gangbusters. And I think we'll remember the year 2020 for a long time. This is definitely like a lifetime event, historical event. But let's say 10 years from now, we'll be more or less over it. And we'll look back and it's like, oh yeah, 2020 kind of sucked. But in the year 2030, I think we can finally carry on with our lives. Hopefully.
I agree.
Yeah.
Actually, it might happen before that. Maybe it will happen before 2030.
Well,
maybe
if I'm trying to think of like the other major, world history events that happened in my lifetime, like 9/11, for example. And like we'll never 100% be over 9/11, but it was, 5 or 6 or 7 years before people could sort of act normal in September again. And that's normal. We got over the Civil War. We got over the 1918 pandemic. We got over World War II. We'll go over this too. It'll take time to heal, but we'll be okay. So you're doing all this work most of the work you're talking about is in Indiana, but I think you're in Maine right now. Isn't that right?
I just went there last week. I drove. I wasn't quite ready to get on a plane.
Okay.
It's a 17-hour drive. Steve came with me, which was great. A long drive, but I had a lot of meetings, and I just thought it was really important for me. I'm very optimistic, and I'm really, really positive, and I'm kind of spearheading these things. And so it's been this way. And I really felt like it was a great idea for me to show up and just have that energy in the room. Yeah. So we had a marketing meeting, we had an education and outreach meeting, met with the staff, because they're all kind of like, ugh. And I think I brought them all maple syrup. I don't know if that helped, but bribery is good. I just wanted them to feel that even though I'm here and I'm distanced, I'm still with them. I don't know. Maybe that was in my head, but they did seem really happy to me. I don't know.
There's definitely something to the energy that people have when they're in person together. And Zoom is not bad. Now that we've all gotten used to Zoom, we've even gotten tired of it a little bit, but it's nice. I remember my first, I don't know if you know, I got a job at a university here in Kansas. I'm in Lawrence, Kansas right now.
Have you started?
I finished my first year in the spring, and now this fall will be my second year. But so just generally speaking, I like my colleagues and I like my boss and I like our meetings and everything. But generally speaking, professors and teachers hate faculty meetings, right? So the first faculty meeting we had after the pandemic started was wonderful because we all could see each other on the screen. We're like, oh, hey, I could see their faces. And so for that, Zoom's pretty good, but it doesn't replace being in the room and seeing
it's that energy. Believe me, we have gotten by through Zoom. We have succeeded because of Zoom, but when I was there and we were all in the room, there's an energy that you feel from people's bodies, and it was
Yeah,
great. It was just good to see everybody, and
it's cool.
I miss him, but I don't really have to be there on a daily basis right now. And this is actually supposed to be my vacation, even though I'm doing a lot of work.
Yeah,
So I mean, are
I've
you
noticed that I'm also, it's summertime, so I'm not teaching right now. And this would otherwise be vacation for me, but I'm working harder this summer than I did like in the spring semester, for example. And the faculty at the university, we've had more meetings online than we had faculty meetings like all last year. So in this time when everyone's down, you know, operations are down and we're not doing stuff, it's a time to be busy and really be planning and working
are
on
you going
stuff.
back to the classroom in the fall?
We have a plan to like sort of a hybrid plan. So classes that can be taught online will be taught online, and classes
Yeah.
that have to be face to face, like orchestra, will still happen. So I'm pretty excited. I'm
Oh, that's
excited to
great.
see my students again and to make music with them. And then I just hope that, you know, in like the second week of the semester, someone doesn't test positive, because then I'm sure the university will just shut it down and say everyone go home. But right now we're planning in-person orchestra with some social distancing to protect the students and the faculty.
So I just want to say to you that I am really proud of you, and I'm really happy for you.
Oh, thank you.
And,
That's so sweet.
I'm saying that because I've known you now a while, and we met. Last time I saw you, I think might have been in New York when I
Yeah, I
was
think so.
at the New York Conducting Institute. And I was doing the women's conference there, and you were with your orchestra, I
Yes.
think, and you were having meetings, and we met, and you were a little frustrated at that time, and I just said, you got to keep. We just had a great. Remember, we had a cup of coffee. It was real
It
brief.
was
It was
so fast because
downtown.
you were on a break and I was on a break and we were in Midtown and we had to like get together fast. And we walked fast, we talked fast, then it was done.
That's us, you know. But
Yeah.
you were. It was a pivotal moment for you. You're taking a lot of auditions. You were, you know, there, and it's a hard. That's a weird time when you're, you know, you're accomplished and you're kind of wanting some doors to open, and then all of a sudden all these things happen. You were doing a lot of guesting. You're getting jobs, and I'm so happy that that happened, because so many people at that point say, screw it, I'm done. I can't, you know, this is crazy. I'm X age, and I want to be making money, and I don't want to be doing this. I'm too good. And you didn't do that. And I'm so happy for you, because you've done so great. And you're a great example of why never to give up. And all that
Oh,
work paid off.
thank you. Yeah, I also feel, sometimes I feel frustrated because you know, I didn't win a major competition in my 20s and then be the assistant conductor for a major orchestra and then have a music directorship by the time I was 30. That didn't happen, but it's okay. I went the slow, steady, you know, slow but steady course, like the turtle and the famous story about the turtle and the hare, right? But yeah, things are going well. I got this orchestra job. You know, I did lose a bunch of guest conducting recently, and I've got a guest conducting gig in October, and I really hope it happens. But if it doesn't, it will happen next spring. And a couple of orchestras I'm on their short list for music director spots. So I just keep plugging away, and best you can. I mean, the thing is, we're all so lucky that we get to do this for a living and that we get to make music. It's a wonderful career. And you're right. It's a little bit of a game of attrition, because 10 years ago in my life, 10 or 15 years ago, there were a bunch of people like me trying to become conductors. And over the years, a lot of them have dropped out of the race, and I'm still plugging away, experiencing the successes and the failures that I'm experiencing, but I'm still trying. And so just by staying in the game, you kind of win. So I feel good
Yeah.
about it.
And
Yeah.
it's now, I mean, now you have to realize that you're not just trying now, you're actually doing it. And that's what you have
Yeah.
to realize. And it takes, you know, you don't do that. You keep thinking, well, I want this, I want this. And you
Yeah.
said the same thing to me in New York. You said, you know, I didn't get the major assistantship. I didn't win this I didn't do it. I did all that, you know, so am I better because of that? No, I'm not better because of that. I just started a little earlier. And that's the only difference. We're all doing the same thing. I mean, there are jobs probably that we're both going after, but I want to add to what I'm doing. I don't want to move on. I love my job. I'm so super happy. In fact, we're starting a big festival. It's just, there's really, really good things going there. And I, as you know, like to stick at a place for a while because I like to grow a place. I like to build.
Right.
I don't want to move every 2 years. I find it very, there's a lot of upheaval with that. Just moving my library, so I'm keeping my home in Maine, and then I'm going to where work is, if they'll allow me.
Right.
Most places, you know, in Carmel, I'm there so much, they don't feel that I don't live there. I'm just there all the time.
Yeah.
So, but you know, I know exactly. And in New York, when you were saying that, I'm like, it doesn't matter. And you're right. You just kept going. And now to be on the short list, to be guest conducting, to be teaching, you are doing it. So now you have to
Oh,
tell younger people, that you got to keep going. Because I'm just so happy, Silas. You're like you're a great story. And are you
thanks.
still doing your other military duties too? Are you still
Well, I'm
involved?
still part-time in the Army. I'm in the Army National Guard, that means 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks every summer. In fact, my summer tour would have ended last week, except it was canceled. So I'm
Oh,
actually going in a couple of days. I'm driving to New Mexico to go to be with my band there. We can't go on tour this summer, but we still have to gather for 2 weeks to do training. So that means a lot of rehearsing and recording.
I'm
Um,
hanging out.
yeah, we're not going to be able to play for the public. So yeah, I'm about to go back to New Mexico and do that. Um, and I'm driving also. It's 12 hours. I was going to ask you about that. You said 17 hours from Maine to Indiana?
I did it in one day.
No, come on.
Well, there were two of us, so we switched every 3 hours.
Oh, geez, but weren't you just bored to death? You didn't want to spend the night somewhere, or?
A lot of music, a lot of solving the world's problems.
I'll bet. Yeah. Well, I'm driving to New Mexico, and it's a 12-hour drive, so it's a little shorter. But I'm taking 3 days to get there. But
Oh,
a
wow.
little bit because Taylor, my wife, you remember Taylor, but Taylor is going with me, and we're going to camp a night here and stay in a cabin a night there. It's a little bit of a vacation road trip type deal because we have time right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was gonna ask you something. I've had a couple of coffee dates like this recently with people who just won jobs, and your job in Carmel is pretty new. But everybody's very excited when they start a new job and they get to meet new people and a new community, and the excitement is there. But I wanted to ask you because you recently ended your tenure with the Williamsburg Symphony, and I'm curious how it feels for a person who's done good work in a place for a long time to then see that orchestra doing a search and trying to figure out who their new leader is going to be. Is that a little bit like watching your ex-boyfriend go on a date with someone, or like how does that feel to you? Is it emotional?
That's a great question. Not really. It's a good question. So I did the two orchestras for 2 years. They overlapped.
Uh-huh.
So I had both, and I was getting so busy at Carmel.
Yeah.
And so when I announced that I was leaving, I had like another year. So during that year, it was a little weird because I thought, wow, this is the last time we're going to be playing an October concert. This is the last
Mm-hmm.
holiday pops. And I knew that when I left, I was going to probably just leave. It was a long time, and it was time to go. Only because I did what I could do, and my new job was taking a lot of time. So I actually haven't looked back that much.
Mm-hmm.
Is that bad? Well, I hear from a lot of people. So a lot of musicians write me and I hear from
No.
board members and staff. But no, I really don't. Sometimes I'll get a newsletter or I'll see who's in the finals but I'm really doing my new thing. It's so many people. When you move to an orchestra, it's not just an orchestra, it's really a community in Carmel. We have a giant, beautiful theater, and it's like Lincoln Center. There's 3 theaters. So
Mm-hmm.
there's the Tarkington, which is about 500 seats, and then a little studio theater, like 150 seats. And there's a campus. So there's all those people. There's all that staff. There's the community. There are all the schools, because you meet all the educational people. Indianapolis, where I used to be, the associate conductor is 19 miles south. There's a lot going on.
Great town.
So
Great town.
it's great. And the work is amazing. And we've almost doubled the amount of concerts the orchestra did since I got there. And we have this new festival, which is going to be huge. And it's kind of based on the Virginia Arts Festival, actually. It's going to be sort
Mm-hmm.
of like that. So I am so busy with that I just kind of think sometimes I wonder what's going on, but not, it's not really like an old boyfriend. Well, I kind of did the same with boyfriends. Once it was over, it was over. I was moving on.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You're like, hey, did you hear that so and so is seeing so and so? Right. I don't care. I got a new thing going on.
It's kind of that way because you can really torment yourself, right?
Right, of
I think
course.
the best thing for these people with the new jobs is to be so excited because there's nothing like starting a new job. As you know, you're in one.
Mm-hmm.
All the new people you meet, and these are people you're going to know your whole life. These are your new networking colleagues and everything.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
So
Great. 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 And your boys are well, I think.
Silas, I am so lucky. Both of my boys are working. they've worked throughout this whole thing. One's an attorney in Brooklyn. Well, he's an attorney in Manhattan. He's super young. He's 26 years old.
Yeah,
But
and
he
I
got
think I met him when we had coffee.
You did.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
met him. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's awesome. So he
Yeah.
lives in Brooklyn. His girlfriend's also an attorney, and they have this cute little duplex with a garden. So they had the garden at least for some air.
Oh, nice.
But he's been working from home steadily, 14-hour days, loves it. He's fantastic. My other son's in Maine, and he's a firefighter studying to be a medic. And
Yeah.
he's 23. And so they've been working. They're on their own. They're like self-sufficient. I'm like, thank Lord that I didn't have little kids at home. Oh my God, I would have gone crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, my
Yeah.
friends that have kids at home throughout this whole thing, wow, what a challenge that was,
Right.
just having to do online schooling and all that stuff, really, really hard.
Yeah.
So I feel
And-
very, very lucky.
Yeah, and then everyone's torn about school in the fall because everybody, of course, wants things to get back to normal, and they want their kids to go back to school, but they also don't want to endanger their kids or the teachers, and so they want to keep their kids at home, but they can't because they have to work. And so I understand that people with parents, people who are parents right now with little kids, are really stressed out.
Well, and also, they're not working at home; they've lost that income, and now they're taking care of their kids who should be in school. It's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole economy thing. While the economy looks good, if you look, I mean, it's up and down, but sometimes when we're taking our 17-hour drive, we were thinking about the trickle down effect. It could be, if it's a guy that makes shirts, well, that's okay. But those shirts go to this store, and then that store owner, and all of the businesses of all the trickle down effect, like the guy that makes certain kind of bread that goes to that grocery store, which now is closed, and that, it's just amazing how it's just going down the whole chain, and people, it's just scary. So but I have been so impressed by people, how they have been creative, and restaurants doing, takeout and curbside, even if it's a teeny little restaurant here in Maine, they have like 3 little tables you can, they're figuring it out. And I'm really amazed by how stores have done online, availability for people. I bought a lot of stuff online, of course, for 3 months at home. But we all have, and I like to support small businesses. So, I've been calling, like if I was in Maine, and so I was calling my little stores that I go to, and they were offering services. And I thought I was just buying from them because I want them to succeed. But we took a drive downtown just yesterday, and there are like 5 empty storefronts. And in July in Maine, it's a small town. That's just never the case. This is the boom time. And there are a lot of people here from New York and Massachusetts, so very special attention to wearing masks. But only the stores that are really thriving and that the people have a nest egg, are they open. The other ones have closed, and it just makes you feel bad, because they couldn't do it. So what's it like there where you are?
Well, for a while, it was like there's nothing going on. Things were just kind of open. I think the state was kind of in denial in Kansas. But the Friday before the 4th of July, when the numbers started spiking again, the state shut down bars and shut down. Yeah, can you imagine bars were open? Like 2 weeks ago, bars were open in Kansas. It was unbelievable. And and mostly young people. It's a college town. Lawrence is where University of Kansas is. That's not where I work, but that's where I live. And so there were a lot of 20-somethings out in the street, drinking and smoking and just standing around in crowds. And it was making me like get anxiety just seeing it happen. But now it's pretty shut down, and everyone's supposed to be wearing a mask, and most people look like they're following the rules. And when I've been out in the grocery store or getting pickup from a restaurant, I see that people are behaving themselves and doing the right thing. So it's okay.
So last night was one of the first nights we went out to eat, and it's a deck overlooking the beautiful Camden Harbor, and all the boats are there. It's really, and the mountains, it's absolutely gorgeous. And this yellow sailboat went by, a cute boat, and it had the name of the University of Kansas mascot, but we didn't know what it was, so we Googled it.
Oh yeah, the Jayhawks.
Yeah. And the boat was from the University of Kansas. I'm like, whoa. I mean, I wonder if how did he get his boat up here? But there he was.
Well, he didn't sail from Kansas, that's for sure.
I don't think so. But you know what? He trucked it, and then it was there. I was on his boat. I thought that was so cool. So
that's so funny.
It's appropriate that we're speaking today.
Yeah.
And there you are. I mean, do you like Kansas? Is it cool? Is it fun?
Yeah, it's totally different for me because I've lived on the West Coast. I've lived on the East Coast. I'm from Texas. Taylor and I just moved from Colorado, so we lived in the mountains, and now we live in the plains, and it's a different vibe altogether. It was ruined a little bit by coronavirus because I was really looking forward to springtime, to see what Kansas is like in the spring, but now I just see my apartment. So it's
Yeah.
not that exciting, but yeah,
Are you missing
the
Colorado?
people here are so nice and the weather's reasonable. And so I suspect it's not as beautiful as Maine. I've never been to Maine, but every time I see a picture or hear someone like you talk about it, it just sounds like heaven.
Well, here's an invite, and it's going to be now on this show, so I can't take it away. But we're
Uh,
renovating.
we got you on the record.
Yeah, we're selling a bigger house and moving to a smaller house, but it's going to be able to accommodate friends. So
Oh,
when
that's
that's
great.
going through that now, imagine doing a renovation through COVID. Talk about like, well, we didn't know. I mean, we've been anyway. The guys took off for like a month, and then now they're back, and it's like, please finish this. But you're welcome, and we'd love to have you.
Oh, well, I will take you up on that one of these days
You
when it's
will.
safe
You
to
should.
travel again. Hey,
Hey,
our time is running out, so I better say goodbye soon. But I'm so
thanks.
happy that we got to reconnect. It's really nice to see you again and have coffee with you.
You too. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, good luck with everything in Carmel.
Thank you. Bye, Silas.
Bye.